Welcome to Scoop World Orders Tuesday. It is bye-week day, Monday. It is bye-week time. These guys are on the road. These coaches are out getting it in, seeing some recruits, trying to pick up some last-minute commits as we march towards signing day. These guys get a much-needed break. We're going to break down some film. There is a lot of stuff to get better at, a lot of stuff to clean up. Really excited about what these guys can do. But man, they left a lot of meat on the bone. And schematically, I don't think they're doing a lot of stuff to help these guys. I think they could be a lot better. Again, I'm not Ryan Day. I am not Brian Hartline. I'm not Justin Fry, but I've also coached a lot of football and I know what works. And I also see what works against our defense, and our defense is really good. And they have problems with certain things, and I think that we should do some of it. So with that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. The best weekend we've had numbers-wise. Our post-game show was crazy. Our show yesterday, biggest live show we've ever had. So thank you guys again for all tuning in. As always, we appreciate you guys. You guys can leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click the little alert bell to let you know when we are going live. We appreciate you guys so much, as always. And shout out where you guys are watching from. I saw Wheelersburg. Shout out Wheelersburg. Saddle River is awesome down there. Appreciate you guys. Portsmouth area, my Southern Ohio Buckeyes. Appreciate all your support. If you guys are not members of BuckeyeScoop.com, we saw a huge surge in new membership. We appreciate all of our new members joining up with us for the stretch run, because it is going to be a fun stretch run. So consider joining us if you want the best premium content in the world for Ohio State football. The number one Ohio State message board, the most active, the cleanest, no trash on our board, no cancers. We got rid of all those a little while ago. So our board is actually magnificent. So with that being said, going to bring in my good friend Nevadabuck. Nevada, you've had 48-ish hours to digest this game. How are you feeling? Where are we at? Mentally, obviously, it's amazing what 1 foot does. Winning and losing is just unbelievable. The feelings right now. Marcus Freeman, thank you for 10 guys on the field. Love you, Marcus. You're my boy. But holy cow, what a gift that was. But where are you at, a couple days out of such a huge win?
Well, I'm still euphoric about the victory on Saturday night, and beating Notre Dame will never, ever not be a big deal. I think you hit it right on the head. For love of a foot, the entire narrative changes. One less foot, and Ryan Day can't win the big one. We're soft. Jim Knowles sucks. Everything else, and you get that. And we got Ryan Day challenging Lou Holtz to a fight. We've got Ohio State fans running around with all their gear on, flexing on all over people. And Jim Knowles is on the pantheon of great coaches at Ohio State. So yeah, love that 1 foot. We broke down some of the stuff on that last play as well.
Oh my God.
Ohio State might have gotten away with the procedure with a flinch on the last play, and I shudder to think about what life would have been for number 88 had they been called for a procedure on that play. But it wasn't, and we scored. And we won, and all is good, and nothing is better than 4-0. And 4-0 going into a bye week is super awesome, because had we lost, man, it would be just an interminably long 2 weeks. Instead, it's a great time to rest and recuperate and get better and come off a little bit of that high so we get up for Maryland. For our Maryland team, it's a good team. Maryland's not a bad football team. Be a nice test for us next. But, yeah, lots of things to break down, lots of things that I was able to see on the second and third watching of the Notre Dame game. That were super interesting, and looking forward to sharing it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's amazing what winning does. I lost that 05 Texas game. I mean, the win goes out of the balloon real quick when you lose that kind of game, a game that we felt like we had won, but we didn't capitalize on our opportunities. Notre Dame, very much the same way. They dropped a pick. They only had 10 guys on the field. In major games against equal talent, you can't make mistakes. A lot of the games I lost, it was a lot because of what we did, not what they did. A lot of dumb mistakes, dumb penalties, obviously massive injury to Ted Ginn. You just can't have those kind of things happen. You can't have things, quote unquote, break that way and expect to win against an equally talented team. Now, the problem with Ohio State is we don't play. There might be 2 or 3 teams on the schedule that have equal talent to us. Penn State, Michigan, the Notre Dame team certainly was upstart. No, again, I don't think that near the level of talent that we did. If you look at recruiting rankings, you look at the amount of stars that we bring in versus what they bring in, it's a different level, but they played absolutely fantastic, played hard, great offensive line, tough as nails. And we're lucky to get out of there. Again, winning on the road is tough. An environment like that, charged up, is tough. You never forget those road wins. But We're gonna break down some short yardage stuff because the short yardage stuff is it's a bit of a concern. It's a huge concern for me. Nevada, this is early in the game, third and goal. 7:44 left. We run this ISO play. And this might have been Caden Curry's only play. He might have been on kickoff. I don't pay attention to the special teams, kickoff, punt, that type of thing. But he did not play defensive end. But they got him in at fullback here. And we got Mayan, and this is Mayan's only carry of the game. Which again, I don't know why you put him in for one carry at the goal line when you've got Trey and Chip. But we run this ISO play, basically two tight ends. This is like old time Jim Tressel football, which is great. But I'm telling you, man, if you're not going to double team anybody, it's going to be really hard to get in here. And something that really concerns me is we just don't do anything to constrain the backside end ever. So if you're not going to do anything to constrain him, i.e. bootleg Kyle McCord or have him run a fake or something, you have to block him. So we've got G doubling down, and you're just betting that mine will get in before he can get there. But that's not the case here. It's slow developing. This guy gets in on the backside of the tackle. The problem is, honestly, we're bad at the point. Like, Josh Fryer gets stuffed. There's just no push here. But again, when you're not double teaming anybody, you're just ISO blocking everybody. This just isn't good. Again, I would split them out. Again, like Youngstown State, the mighty Penguins split us out. They ran a read option and they waltzed in and did the little penguin dance. And that was dramatic differences in talent, but a much better scheme, in my opinion. And is that quarterback more athletic than Kyle McCord? I don't know, maybe a little bit, but I can't imagine that Kyle couldn't do the exact same thing. But what are your thoughts on this, Nevada? I just think that if you're not going to ever constrain this, because again, the way that we do constraint, it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. Eventually, they're not going to believe you when you never pull the ball, you never run bootlegs, you never do anything to occupy this end. So he's just going to, he comes down flat down the line. Like if Kyle keeps this, if say he does like the magic ball fake and he rolls, now I don't know if he's got the athleticism to beat him, but he could try. Look at these guys. Their backs are all turned this way. If he pulls this here and races to the pylon, he might have a shot. Now again, I don't know how fast he is, but what are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I think we've had the same discussion about short yardage situations with Ohio State now for years. And it's involved different players. It's involved NFL players like Nick Petit-Frere and Thayer Munford and Paris Johnson and DeJuan Jones and Luke Whippler and different coaches and Greg Stradwara and Justin Fry. And, we keep talking about the same issues over and over again. Tackles playing guards playing tackles, cats and animals playing center, or whatever the heck we're talking about. And we have the same issues. And the same issues come down to a real simple thing. We're not showing proper constraint, and we are predictable by formation, by down and distance. And when you combine predictability with lack of constraint, you're gonna have problems in short yardage. And we can talk about, I know you like to talk about hand placement and double teams at the point of attack and ISO blocks and all that stuff. And who am I to argue with you, an All-American tree in the grove right tackle? But man, just run the occasional bootleg, run the occasional keep, do something that keeps them honest. And when you do that, you'll stop seeing defensive ends coming flat down the line like that and attacking plays from the backside. Everybody on that Notre Dame defense was selling out to stop the run at the point of attack. And I just think when you have that many bodies massing in that small of a space, you're going to have problems. So, do I think McCord is as athletic as the guy that did the penguin dance? Yeah, I think McCord can do the penguin dance. I saw McCord do the penguin dance after the Notre Dame game, after we won. He got up there and he penguined up there and the thing.
Yeah.
You see him, how athletic he was? He jumped up on the bench. Do you see him jump up on the bench?
Yeah.
And they did that. And, he can do it. He can do it. McCord can do it. But for me, it's scheme. It's scheme and predictability, because we keep talking about the players, we keep talking about the coaches, we keep talking about blocking dummies or blocking sleds or whatever it is, and we keep having the same problems. So at some point, you got to look at, oh man, maybe we're just a little predictable. Raise of hands of how many people can call offensive plays by Ohio State with about 99% efficiency. I know I can. I can see them line up and I can tell you what they're going to run. And if I can do that, and I'm just a dumb old guy. Like I'm Lou Holtz dumb out here in California. I guarantee you these smart defensive coordinators can certainly see it and certainly call it. But start running some constraint, and it's gonna or spread them out, and these problems will magically go away. That's Nevadabuck's solution.
Yeah, and again, Donnie isn't great here, but we're just running ice here. And again, I didn't realize that Luke Montgomery's in here too. So you have four tight ends in basically. If Caden's a tight end or a fullback, whatever you want to make him, you got Luke right here. You got Cade, and again, I don't love ISO here when you've got you're leaving the corner, and it almost looks like this is a misassignment because Caden Curry, who hasn't played and is ice cold all day. When he's coming, I think it looks like he's laid up through here, and he has to like make a turn real quick to get this corner. And I don't like this guy hitting him in the backfield like that. Like that's a tough block. He's a big kid. He hasn't played all night. I'd much rather put Cade there. Really, I mean, in a perfect world, you double team here, work to there. I would just cut back here. Screw it, just cut. I mean, I don't know why we have to man block everything. Just cut him, get him on the ground. I'd cut off here, and I'd cut off here. And then you put him here, and then you got someone for everybody. But instead, again, I don't. You know what I really don't like? I don't like putting in guys that don't play like Luke Montgomery and Caden Curry. It's nothing against those guys. I've been in their shoes. I've been the sixth man and backup tackle. And then like when you need it the most, hey, you're in for this one play, And so you got to go in here. And I mean, this should be a double team. Again, I can't help but think that you should have Cade here and put Caden there and have these two double up to here, and then double, cut off here. I would cut this backside off and make one of these guys make the tackle. Because if one of those guys gets all the way over here and then makes the tackle, then God bless him. But mine's got to run somebody over in the hole. But again, we're not good at the point. Josh isn't good. But I think Josh is expecting a double team here because just based on how he's stepping, I don't know. And again, like this split is stupid. A 1 foot, 1 inch, like right on top of my shoe split is stupid. I don't know why on earth they're doing that. But again, that's something that they must have read in some manual somewhere. But these guys literally can't step. Like look at Josh Hurst. Look at his step. He can't step. So I mean, I don't know what they expect him to do when he has no room to take a flat step and fire his hips off the ball. So again, not being critical, but again, I've literally been at the starting right tackle, and if I had a guy whose foot was that close to my foot in goal line when they want me to make that block, I'd kill him. I'd tell Hamby or Rory Nickel or whoever was my tight end, if you're that close to me, I'm going to break your foot in half with my heel. But that's me. Again, I just, you gotta, they got to get this cleaned up. Again, we were lucky, but I mean, we get stuffed here on the 1 inch line, and these are big momentum plays. I'm going to get to the next one. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada? Again, I just, we're doing this 1 inch split thing, and it's weird. Like I said, I like spreading these guys out on the goal line. I like make them cover. Because again, my thing is when you do this, you let teams off the hook. When you take Marvin Harrison and Emeka Egbuka off the field, you let them off the hook. And again, I sound like Herm Edwards, or no, I sound like Dennis Green when he talked about the Bears and the Cardinals that one game. So you let them off the hook. But when you take two of the top 10 players in America off the field and you put on G. Scott and Luke Montgomery and Caden Curry, it makes absolutely no sense to me. And I'm not slighting those kids at all, but Marvin Harrison's the most terrifying player in the entire country, and we take him off the field. And that, especially in the red zone. Like, I mean, dude, like if there's ever a place to have Marvin who's 6'4" with a 40-inch vertical, like the low red zone is where he should just be an absolute terror. I mean, cornerbacks should be scared to death of throwing him a fade. And again, I would stand out there by himself next to the pylon and say, hey, if they're going to load it up in here, we're throwing you a fade, go win. That's what you're paid to do. And I do the same thing with Emeka, because Emeka is shifty as can be, puts his foot in the ground. I mean, again, I know that we've got wizards on offense, but why do you take two of the best players in the country? Make those guys defend those guys. I mean, because there's no way I'm going to let Marvin Harrison beat me in the red zone. I'm double teaming him every time. Get this next play. We had a couple super chats. I want to get through these, make sure I don't lose them. If you guys have questions, super chats are automatically answered, so we appreciate those. D Sunny, what's up, brother? I appreciate you. Ooh, that is a tiny one. I gotta get that one a little bit bigger so I can read it. All right, let's see. What makes a QB be only a one read at QB? Is it difficult at this level to go to multiple reads? To me, I think that well, it depends on who the read is. Because if the read's Marvin Harrison, he's probably going to be open, or if it's a Mecca, he's probably going to be open. But I saw instances where Kyle was struggling a little bit with the noise and the protection, and it was hard for him to get to that second read. But I think it's with the training and with what we do, the full field reads and the half field reads, like I think it's just your processing power. I think CJ Stroud is fantastic at that. Quinn Ewers does full field reads at Texas, and he's shredding teams right now. I think it's just experience and comfort in the offense and trust in your receivers. Do you ever response to that, Nevada?
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard to, if anybody's ever sat in the quarterback spot and really got that quarterback's point of view, you see that it's mayhem. It's mayhem there, and it's hard to, process that stuff in real time, and it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of game reps. For guys, some guys are just naturally gifted, and some of the guys you mentioned were just naturally gifted in terms of doing it. But it's difficult. It's definitely an acquired skill, and I think that it's something that Kyle will get better at as he has more experience out there, as the stuff becomes more familiar, the patterns will become more familiar. It's kind of like doing a Rubik's Cube. When you do Rubik's Cube, anybody who knows the Rubik's Cube, it's basically patterns. And when you've seen enough plays out there in football, they follow predictable patterns as well. When this guy goes here, then this safety drops back, and this corner rolls up, and you start seeing it, you start recognizing it, and it helps you recognize things and then process the information in terms of where you should go with the ball first, second, third, or even fourth read. So I think it's something that'll come. I think Kyle will get better at it. And but right now, processing things, it's a little bit more difficult due to his inexperience. But sure came up big at the biggest time possible. Made some huge throws. So.
Yeah, like I said, it's a lot easier to sit here and do it. You watch guys in the NFL that can't make one read. I mean, I watched Zach Wilson yesterday with Garrett Wilson and can't do anything. It's putrid. I'm gonna dial up this next play. This was a short yardage pass. Again, I'm very positive. I try to be very positive, but I just have no idea what we're doing, honestly. Again, I love Ohio State, and I think Ryan Day is fantastic, and Justin Fry. But 2 plays in a row, no Marvin, no Emeka is absolutely criminal. So this time they put Chip in at fullback, and they run this little play pass. But man, I mean, they got it loaded up right here, and they're trying to run like a full gap here. It's like a full gap protection. It's like a play action pass where you got your fullback, you got your tailback picking up the last guy, and they're trying to run like a little Y hide play. So, Cade is trying to, there's times where you have this guy literally fall on the ground and acts like he trips, and then he gets up and he runs right along the goal line, and then you've got G Scott running kind of the deep flag, but I mean, it's just like you're running like a double drag. So you got Royer over here who hasn't played all day, then you have him running the little delay. So Royer's supposed to clear first, and then Cade's supposed to come behind him. And they just Joe trips and falls, and we just get pressure. I mean we're just the protection is soft, it's bad. This is on Donnie here. Donnie needs to be down in this A gap hard. Carson gets beat, and that's Donnie's gap, and this is slide protection, like this is day one stuff, But he's trying to help Josh, but I mean, Donnie, that's your A gap. I mean, you got to be there. Carson, that's not on Carson. Carson falls because Carson's got the opposite A gap, and the rest of it is, I mean, it's okay. But I hate the idea of us putting. I don't know if this is a D tackle, DN, but this big guy on Mayan, and again, Mayan hasn't played all day either. I mean, Mayan, you had 1 carry, so you're putting him in there 4th and goal, and he gets rocked in pass protection. And again, if Donnie is just better right here. Then this is fine. I mean, there's at least some time here. Like if you take this guy out of the frame right here, if you take this guy out of it, then Kyle can slide right over here and maybe find one of these guys. But again, like look at our levels right here. I mean, we have 2 guys running right on top of each other, so that's just poor. Again, I don't know if that's on the tight ends coach. I don't know what it is, but again, you take Emeka and Marvin off and you put in Joe Royer, who I love, great kid. He's been through a lot, but he hasn't played all day. And then you've got, a guy who's not Marvin, and you've got Cade. And again, like, this is just my opinion, but you're trying to run a pass play and you have two of the best receivers in America standing on the sideline watching. So, it was a disaster. And again, our protection, this isn't hard protection. This is easy protection. It's just poorly done. So, again, we got to win. Again, that's the best part about football is sometimes you get away with some stuff like that because at the end of the day, when we needed that last foot, we got it. But that's us giving it away. That's not anything Notre Dame did. That's just us not executing and being poor in pass protection. And and our routes are a cluster because we have two tight ends running into each other, and then we have Royer and Cade are crossing, and they almost run into each other. And then G. Scott and Cade are the same exact plane, same level, 3 yards apart, so you can cover them basically with one guy. I don't know. Your thoughts on that one, Nevada?
Yeah, just it's one of those things where if you're gonna throw the ball, have the best wide receivers in college football on the field. And
Oh God.
I think when you've got better athletes than the other team, or at least equal athletes, then I'll put Ohio State's athletes up against anybody. So I think in that
Yes.
situation, let's be in an athletics posture. Let's be in four wide. Let's spread the field. Let's use our athletes. Let's have the threat of a Trey Henderson run. And one of the throws to any one of those four great wide. And we're about 9 deep on wide receiver, and we didn't have any of those guys on the field in that situation. And to me, I think that's a mistake. I think it's playing away from your strengths, and I think that's where Ryan might have gotten a little, interested in kind of showing how tough we are, or how tough, the Buckeyes are, and we're going to show our toughness in that situation. And I think sometimes we just outsmart ourselves. The other thing that we can do in these situations that we used to do to great effect was if you get the ball down to the 1 yard line, the 2 yard line, 3 yard line, go hyperspeed. Go hyperspeed and line up and run the ball. When Herman was here and we did that, man, we scored so many
Whew.
touchdowns, and it's like we can do it. We showed like when McCord threw that dot to Emeka at the end of the game. We got down to the 1 yard line, and the guys ran to the line, and we spiked the ball and stopped it. Like, we can do it. We know how to do it. It's not like, oh no, the guys don't know how to do that. Like, but that's just got to be an automatic call. Like, you get down to the 1 yard line, you're running to the line, boom, boom, we're gonna run this play. And just it makes it so hard. You put so much pressure on the defense when you do that. And we've gone away from that. We've gone to these mass fronts. We've gone to these short splits. We've gone to taking your best players off the field. We've gone to no constraint. And then we wonder why we're not as successful in short yardage. I don't think it's mysterious. I think it's completely predictable. But the good news is it's completely fixable. And Ryan Day's a brilliant guy. And the offensive staff, these are not dumb guys. They're brilliant. They're well compensated. They have access to all the resources, way better resources than we have. They can see this stuff. Now it's just a matter of fixing it. And that's on them, and they got to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, I think that there's a lot of self-reflection, and I think that this was a great win because not only did they win, but they have so many things that they need to get a lot better at if they want to go to where they want to go. So, this wasn't like it was some 70-0 total domination, like, pat everybody on the back. Like, they're this close to losing. And again, that's something where obviously you'd rather always win. You don't want to ever lose. But it's like, when you have a game like this where you kind of squeak it out, again, both teams played really good and all that. And I'm not saying Notre Dame is better. I think we're a much better team than that. But we left a lot of meat on the bone. Like, we didn't play a great game. And again, I don't like bringing guys in that barely play in the most important plays of the game. And then again, I would never take Marvin. If Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau can play the entire game, I'm having Marvin and Emeka play the entire game too on the other side. I'm just saying, or if you got to rotate Xavier in, or whoever, Carnell Tate, but I'm not taking when we have the best wide receiver room maybe in history, and you take all those guys off the field and you put on G. Scott, Joe Royer, Case Over, and it's nothing against those guys, but those guys aren't like top 10 picks like the guys were taken off. And that's Notre Dame is like, take those guys off the field. And again, that's just reality. This is not me bagging on those guys, but you can't take Marvin Harrison off the field in the red zone. I think that's the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in my life, but There's got to be a reason for it. I just don't know what it is. Okay. Why was JT playing over the left tackle except in the last series when he had a sack and screen stop? Well, they flip them not as often as usual, but I mean, I've seen them flip sides. I'm not sure what causes them to flip it. I don't know if Larry Johnson in certain drives says to flip because it's not, generally they're playing left and right. Some teams play their ends to the strength of the formation, which is, if you have a tight end, like a wing tight end, like a lot of spread teams do, they'll put a certain defensive end on that side, and then they'll have another guy play on the weak side. And some teams play left and right, like Iowa, they play left and right. They have the same guy on the left side the entire game, the same guy on the right side the entire game. We generally have been playing left and right, but you're right on that last drive. JT went to the other side. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to have him try it out against Joe Alt because Joe Alt is a fantastic left tackle, probably the best left tackle in the country. But I mean, it'd be interesting for someone to ask Ryan Day that press conference or that question as to why they did the rotation. And he probably won't know just because when he's in the heat of the battle, I'm sure he's on the offensive side of the headset trying to diagram what we're going to do next on offense. And he's probably not paying attention to the defensive line rotations, like drive over drive, just because he's an offensive guy. Like, I mean, with Urban, he was always on the offensive side of the headset, except for, when he'd have to tell Luke Fickell, hey, we're going to go for it on fourth down. So get you guys ready to go. Because if we don't get it, you're on the, your own 45-yard line heading in. I'm going to break down this last little sequence right at the end of the game. Again, I like this call. I don't like the execution. Again, I don't like the two tight end thing. I really don't. I mean, I think Cade's playing great. I mean, I'd rather have a third receiver in here. To me, this is like an old sprint out play that we used to run a lot with Urban. We used to call it 495, but we'd split this guy out over here just to get somebody out, get a little clearer picture, get this guy out of here. You could either waterfall the tight end, which is what they do here. That's this little backpedal technique is called a waterfall technique. But when we used to do it, the way I like to do it is you tell Trey Henderson, go ACL this guy. Literally, that's what we used to call it. Go put your helmet right into his ACL and cut him and get a nice edge there for the quarterback. And then it's a quick little sprint. Marvin runs a little quick route, meet me at the pylon, and it's a touchdown. Like, this is, I think that there's a little bit of disruption here because of this little bit of penetration, which again, we've got enough guys to pick this up, but there's no need to have this leakage here. Because really, if you wanted to do this perfect, now again, it's easy, me sitting here in a telestrator in my chair, you tell G, leave this wide guy for Trey. This is how we always coach it. Like, leave this guy for the running back, and then you guys all work this way. You guys waterfall back here, and the widest guy is going to get a helmet right to his kneecap because that's what we do. And Ezekiel Elliott was magnificent at it. Carlos Hyde was great at it because we used to cut our scout team guys, and it was just like, it wasn't this mush. Because then, if G is here and he gets a hat on this guy, and then you cut here. Well, for one, if you cut this guy and he's a corpse right here, there's a chance he could run this in. And if not, if this guy's out and this guy's in the mix, you've got one of these guys has to make a decision to either come off and come after the running quarterback or stay on Marvin Harrison. So it's you put these corners in terrible situations. Again, if you cut this guy, but instead we don't cut. I don't know why, because we try to do things the hardest way possible. But if you cut that guy, man, it's easy. But instead, it's a hard throw. We don't get it. 3 seconds left, and you guys know how the rest of the game goes. Got another super chat, D. Sunday. Appreciate you, my man. Favorite part after the pass to a Mecca was the one of seeing Fleming screaming for everyone to hurry up and spike it. Yeah, Julian Fleming is like one of those guys that people don't really, because again, he was super hyped coming in, number 1 overall player, 5-star receiver. Hasn't had anywhere near the career that people expected him to have, but he's a very serviceable guy. He's a guy that is tough, and he's gone through heck and back with the shoulder injuries. I mean, he's missed a lot of time. And I know it's tough when you're the 5-star number 1 guy and you see guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba, already in the league, 1st-round pick, superstar wide receiver. But he's a nice ad. Like, I really like what he's been doing this year. I pray to God that he stays healthy because I think that's the biggest thing going with him is that you always worry about his shoulders popping out. Nevada, your thoughts on Julian and that play I just diagrammed?
Well, I mean, yeah, that play design was, it was kind of one of those things that you do when you've got 7 seconds to go and you feel like you got a play to waste, and maybe Julian or actually maybe Marvin can make a great play and shake the guy. It didn't feel like our heart was truly in that one, and that looked like kind of a mess. As for Julian's he's just a heady player. He's just smart. He's experienced. Yeah, he was definitely the conductor of the get to the line and spike the ball thing. And had that ball been short of the first down, obviously there's just so many different things that go on. First of all, the clock doesn't stop. Secondly, now you're on fourth down. You can't spike. I mean, there were just a cavalcade of problems. So the fact that McCord was able to thread that in there, throw it to the back shoulder, get it to him, in the only place it could possibly be completed. That was just such a magnificent throw by Kyle. Great catch by Emeka. But yeah, heads up play by Julian, and then we have the. Do you have the fourth down play queued up there for
yeah, I do, and I'm not going to run the whole thing, but again, this is the sequence that is the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in coaching with Marcus Freeman, and really it's on Al Washington because he was with us when he's linebackers coach. We don't have a defensive end in the game. This is the third down play that I just diagrammed. So we run the play. They don't have a defensive end in the game. And I was told by somebody who was on the Notre Dame sideline today that they had no idea until after the game that they only had 10 in. They weren't trying to call that little fictitious, they're trying to call a timeout or whatever. That's not what was being told to me. And I had someone that was right there, right in the middle of it all, say they had no clue. So you got 10 here. And this is the crazy part. So, okay, you have a 40-second clock right here. You get the shot clock. It hasn't started. So now it's winding down to 40, 39, 36. So I'm going to switch over real quick. But it goes all the way down. So starts at 40. Takes a second to get ticking. So you're down to 20. Again, I'm just watching this real quick before we get to the last play. You get down to, you have 25 seconds to run a defensive end into the game. Like, what are your GAs doing? What are the guys up in the booth doing? I mean, you had 25 seconds you could run 100 yards in 20 seconds. They couldn't get a guy in the game in 20 seconds because they didn't know. Again, that is clown car coaching. Absolute clown car. So, again, I just, it's amazing that some of these guys are still employed today. So here's the final play. Still no defensive end. And the shot clock is down to 9 seconds. So you had 31 seconds to figure out, we don't have an end in the game. Let's go run an end in. So, again, whatever narratives are out there, this is just absolute. This is a catastrophe of the highest magnitude. So where do we run it? Right to it. Touchdown. Again, not clean, but hey, we got it in. We ran, and it's amazing because we ran it right to where their DN should have been. And sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And that's, again, you're cheating the kids.
Can you go back and show the the G. Scott flinch on that play right there?
Oh, yeah. I'm probably gonna get a call for this one.
We're
gonna double secret probation probably for this. But anyways, so here's G, and again, there's 11 seconds left, and again, I don't know if he's supposed to be on the ball or in a wing. I'd imagine they'd want him on the ball like Cade Stover is, but he flinches right there. Watch his knee. I mean, this is absolute luck. See, he flinches right there. And again, you have to be like a laser-eyed official, but that's a false start. Again, it's loud and crazy, and these officials have been terrible, but thank God for us and thank God for him, because man, I'm telling you, if they call that one, that's Hamby-esque right there. Because I'm telling you, if we get on to the 6, man, I don't know. But yeah, thank God they didn't call that. But that was, it's a thin line between winning and losing, baby. Because that's, after the headbutt last year and some other stuff, man, I don't know. Yeah, your boy McCord did jump up on the bench though, so maybe we should put in the jump pass like Tebow used to do or something. So
yeah, McCord's man, he's white. I'm telling you, McCord can do the penguin. He can do it. He's athletic, man. He can go out there, waddle around, jump up on that stuff. I just, like I said, when I saw the last sequence and I kind of slowed it down and I saw the flinch, but my heart just sank because I'm just like, man, if they would have called that, first of all, I just don't even know. I don't want to think about it. It wasn't called. So something, when something's not called, it just doesn't exist. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
we've been on the wrong side of that so many times that we play the woulda, coulda, shoulda game anytime. But no, my bigger concern on that, and we've talked about this before, but when you have him off the ball like that, and you're asking him to block a slanting defensive end, I just think you're putting that guy in an impossible spot. And I think, you see who made the play. It was Javonte Jean-Baptiste coming from the backside. He's the one who made the thing. And that's just an impossible block for you. He can't get there in time.
Well, for one, he's not up on the ball. Like in that other formation, we had guys like in 1-inch splits, like up on the ball. He's not, I mean, he needs to scoot all the way up like Cade is. So I don't know why on earth he's aligned that far back when they want him to come in here and cut this off. I mean, this is such a poorly executed play that it's crazy. Because again, they only have 10 guys. They don't have a defensive end in the game. And they still almost get it. And again, why do we always say you need to run read option down here? Well, guess what? If this is a read option, when this guy's crashing on the running back, again, we have 2 guys coming off the edge scot-free, and they'll have 10 guys on defense. So they almost stop us with 10 guys. But if this is a read, Kyle would be reading this guy crashing and taking the back, and he could pull it, and there's nobody there. Like, look at this corner. If Kyle pulls this, he's walking in the end zone doing the penguin dance. But this is like, again, I think that, I'll give Josh Simmons a pass because, he's like, where's this guy at? Where's this end at? Like, is this the end? Like, so we end up triple team wedge blocking this guy. And, Cade gets him, takes him to Chicago. But we have this guy screaming off the edge. We have 2 guys flying off the edge. I mean, this is almost suicide. We have 7 blockers on these guys. We have 7 on 6 right here. And we still almost don't get it. Why? Because this is an impossible block for G. Scott. And I know I've been hard on this podcast, but that's impossible. He can't get that block. When this guy's slanting and they're bringing heat off the edge, like every goal line team in the universe does, he can't get there. His step isn't great, but still, he should I'd just say, go cut the guy. Go cut him. Go dive right at his ACL. Cut him. Get him on the ground. Because if you cut him right here and he's out of the play, there's no suspense. But instead, he gets his helmet all the way across G and gets in the hole and almost is the savior of Notre Dame. But again, I just, we had a gift from God. They had 10 on it. Because, if they got a real D end in there, then, but, we have 2 guys screaming off the edge. Again, because we run no constrain. We don't read anybody. We're so easy to defend. It's like criminal. So again, this is not big, mean Kirk. I just want what's best for these guys, man. And it's like, you got to give these guys a chance. We almost got stopped with 10 guys on the field and no defensive end because we don't do anything to constrain these guys. And again, teams are figuring out, hey, these guys don't read anything. They might fake it. They might act like they're faking it. They might pull it and run around the corner, but their hands are always empty. They never pull it. And again, I know that our quarterbacks are all made of porcelain now, so you can never run them. But man, it's like, could you imagine if they have 10 on the field and they stop us with, what are they going to say? They had, touchdown Jesus as the defensive end and he stood us up in the hole. But I don't know. Like, again, I think there's so much to clean up. We could be so much better. And again, I hate that, we don't play our studs enough, especially like Marvin should be getting targeted in the red zone at 2 out of every 3 plays, I think, in my opinion. I would run combination routes with Marvin and Emeka and say, I hope you guys can pray to God to cover those 2 because those guys are better than anybody else that you have in the entire nation. And Marvin is 6'4", which in the red zone is terrifying. So that's my opinion. Nevada, I'll let you wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
We just got to fix some of this scheme and design because otherwise we're going to continue to have these conversations. We're going to continue to do these podcasts. We're going to continue to raise these issues. But, as you said, the best thing is we won, man. We won. We're 4-0. We're undefeated. We're kind of the national darling now, after that big win there at Notre Dame. We've got time to heal up. We've got time to get back on that emotional horse and get up and not have that letdown. And we got some huge games coming up. The Penn State game in the shoe is going to be just, they're all going to be big, but that one's going to be gigantic as well. So no, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the season. Later on this week, I think we got to get into what Notre Dame did offensively and why they were moving our guys off the ball and what we have to do schematically to I mean, our leading tacklers were Lathan Ransom and Josh Proctor. And when your safeties are your leading tacklers on defense, I mean, I am the conductor of the Knowles Express. I'm the biggest fan of this 2023 defense, but that's a flashing yellow sign that we got to, because you can't be running everything to your safeties. You do that, especially against a running quarterback, and that's going to be a problem. I mean, Hartman, for all his good looks and boyish charm, did not present a running threat, and I think that's one of the things that saved us on Saturday night. We're going to face some quarterbacks down the road that can actually keep it and run and get around the corner, and we're not going to be able to stop the run the way that we did on Saturday night. So, got some things to fix there as well. But again, undefeated, moving along, everything's in front of us, and I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm just going to point this out right at the end because this is Chip just being a monster. So, they have 10 guys on the field, and this is the goal line. He gets hit at like the 2? I mean, he's got one edge guy hit coming off the edge. He's got a D end coming off the edge. He's got a corner coming off the edge. So he's got 3 guys hitting him, and they only have 10 guys on the entire field. So, and then, G's back here, getting planted again. Whatever, not being tough, but whatever. But watch his knee. Watch his knee. Because if he goes down right here, which he easily could, I mean, he puts that toe in the ground, and every ounce of strain in the universe is coming out of this kid to get the ball over the zone. Because I'm telling you, man, if that knee just goes straight down, we are sad pandas today. So big shout out to Chip, man. Good God. I mean, this is all that offseason conditioning and winter mat drills and all that. This is what it's for. It's that last little inch right there to be the hero and win the game. Because again, like look at our guys. Like, I mean, they're all backwards. I mean, so but we got it in. Praise God. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, you gotta make it harder on the defense. And again, to me, it starts with Marvin and Emeka, getting them involved. I like spreading it out at the goal line. I know that it's old fashioned, but I came up in Trussell ball. I loved Jim Trussell like a dad. 2 tight ends, fullback, but that's just so easy to defend. Especially when you have Marvin and Emeka, spread those guys out, get those guys out of the box, make those safeties have to play and make a decision. Because if they're going to one up, Marvin throws them every time because he'll win. And you'll score a lot of touchdowns throwing him the ball on little 1-yard slants and little 1-yard fades and whatever. So, okay. We're going to wrap this thing up. As always, we appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Huge weekend for us on BuckeyeScoop.com. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Record numbers the last couple of days. So thank all of you guys for being a part of that. If you guys aren't part of BuckeyeScoop.com, join it because we are absolutely going bonkers on the message board. It's absolutely fantastic. So thank you guys all that are a part of BuckeyeScoop.com. If you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert button. Shout out where you guys are watching from. I love to read that. And also give me your MVPs from the Notre Dame game. You can give me more than one. Give me maybe 1 on offense, 1 on defense, maybe 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.